Good evening, LEC, LAF community. How is everyone doing? I'm Edgar Palacios, founder of the Latinx Education Collaborative, and I'm here with my colleague, Deanna Munoz. Deanna, how are you doing this evening?
Hey, I am good. And this is my first chance to say my title, so can I say it?
Absolutely.
Deanna Munoz, and I'm the Civic Engagement Fellow with Latinx Education Collaborative and the founder of Latino Arts Foundation. Oh my God, that's like a whole mouthful, but it's the most amazing thing to say out and open, especially live.
I mean, it is an awesome thing to see and to grow and to develop. And I know tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about the work that we're doing together, but I think it's been since the pandemic. Do you remember when we used to get on live and talk about just random stuff with the Midwest Chingona podcast and all these other things? Like, do you remember those days?
Absolutely. And I literally have dreams about it. I think sometimes I wanted to bring this back. And I know we've talked about it here and there but it's always like, time wise, all that, kids, jobs, all that. But yeah, I miss it. And I was going through old videos on the YouTube and I'm like, oh my God, like seeing Deoslin and Irene and, everybody was just so pumped up with these lives. And I don't know, we got to bring it back, Edgar.
I think that's kind of the stuff that we're doing tonight. We're bringing back some of that energy and some attention to our virtual community. And so I just appreciate you being here. But so much has happened since our last live. I don't know if we want to just kind of share a couple of updates about you and what you're doing and what you've been excited to do over the last, I don't know, I say 2 weeks, but you say 3 months with the organization.
I think with the paycheck rollout, I think it's been more than 2 weeks, which has been amazing. So, I don't know if a lot of people know, but Edgar and I have known each other for like 10 plus years. We never really know the actual time. It could actually be like 20. We just don't know. And we built our organizations together side by side, which is I don't know, the most unique thing. I don't know stories like that. And to have that kind of story to tell is phenomenal, especially with what is going on now. So we just ended up one day, he just was like, hey, how about LAF comes with LEC? I mean, what better thing to do with art and education? And, everybody was just like, what? Like, wow, because I've never been paid for the work that I do at LAF. So to have that opportunity, especially with someone like Edgar and LEC and Rev Ed, it was kind of mind blowing. I think I had to go home and really sit on it for a while. But since then, it's been like, wow, we decided, how to make this work for both of us. It's not one-sided. It's definitely like two of us together doing this, figuring it out. I think that's how our working style is, Edgar, right? Like, we kind of just figure it out.
Yeah, I think one thing that we absolutely share that you mentioned is that we are both founders of nonprofits and we've seen some really interesting things in our own growth journeys and whatnot. But I want to talk a little bit about my perspective on this as well, if you allow me, Deanna.
Yes.
I think first and foremost, we've been having a conversation at the LEC for a little over a year now about who do we serve, right? Who are we thinking about when we talk about serving Latinx educators? What is the purpose of serving Latinx educators? Why do we want to see more of them? And we keep coming to this idea that we are here for Latinx youth, right? And the reason that we do the work is so that we can see Latinx youth really improve their educational outcomes and experiences in schools across other stuff. And so that's really allowed us to think just differently about what we want to see and how we partner. And so knowing your commitment to young people and seeing the work that you've done over the last 15 years, it makes a lot of sense for us to combine efforts and think about how do we actually serve our community better? How do we work together to do that? And how do we demonstrate that it's possible? Before I even jump into anything around that, I just want to welcome some of our, this is old school. I want to welcome some of our guests tonight. Sue Moreno, fantastic. Appreciate you joining us tonight, Sue. Also, Sue was an Expresión fellow, I believe. Yeah. And one of the cool things about Sue is that her story is so powerful and moves so many people, not just in Kansas City, but across the country. I actually get some comments around Sue's powerful story from people that I would just never, oh, you pay attention to the work that we do. That is so awesome. And so Sue, just want to give you that shout out. We have Olga Salazar. Olga, how are you doing? Ola, thank you for being here. Excited to have you with us tonight. We have Tina. What up, Tina? Yeah. Tina Aguilar Webel. I hope I said that right. And then, of course, look, we got the whole crew back.
Remember Marisa? Yes.
Back. You're we're glad that you're back with us. And the illustrious, the famous, the one and only Ivan Ramirez. I'm here. Deanna is a force to reckon with, so inspiring. And of course,
Yeah.
Ivan's always going to have to love on people. So Sue is also a great mentor and storyteller.
Aw.
Look at this.
Oh, I know. The young people, like our young people just out here loving us. I love it.
The young people are where it's at, and so again, that's one of the reasons that we thought about how we deepen our relationship in terms of organizations and how we think about the work that we're doing collectively, right? And so it's a great opportunity for us to partner and to partner intentionally to better serve Latino youth in our community, right? And I think some people know this already, some people may not know this, but I'm a former music major. I graduated with my vocal performance degree. Arts is definitely a meaningful part of my life and my story, and a lot of the reason that I am able to do the work that I do. And I know art is important to you, Deanna. Why is it important to you?
Yeah, and first of all, can I mention that you sang at my daughter's quinceañera, which was so phenomenal, so beautiful. It's opera. Like you need to tell everybody you sing opera, which is like hardcore, like amazing. We need like a rock band opera mix. I think Yvonne would be down for that. So we can make that happen.
I don't know if we're gonna make it happen. I think there's some things that just are better left in the past. But that actually, I do remember that I was at was it Holy Cross
Yeah, it was down in
Northeast?
Northeast. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Bud Park.
That was an awesome experience, and I was like, I hope I get this right. I don't want to embarrass myself in a wedding, as I recall. I think it worked out. It worked
It
out.
worked out great. Like, everybody loved. They're shocked. Like, oh shit, you have somebody. Oh, sorry, excuse me. You have somebody singing opera. We're going back to our Chingon days. Sorry,
We,
but
we
yes,
haven't grown up since then.
no, we have not. We still little kids. But yes, arts is important. I wanted to be an artist my whole life, and seeing my kids just blossom into that. And one of them is a theater major, going into theater major, and my other one is doing biology, but a minor in creative writing, which is where Latino Arts Foundation started, was creative writing. And so to see that at the age of 6 to now she's going to be 20, it's just amazing. And you can see what mentoring can do for the kids, and bringing the education part with alongside with the LEC has just been phenomenal. Like I said, it's only been like 2.5 months, and like the partnerships and the collabs and the integration is just, it's perfect. It makes total sense. It just works.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, one of the things that I think happened recently was Sue led some professional development for educators, and I heard that it was a phenomenal experience. And I think those are the types of opportunities that we can continue to provide our community
Yes.
that are really, culturally responsive, culturally respectful, and also expand what we think about the Latino culture in our community as well. And so I'm loving those opportunities. Here we go. Marissa says she wants to sell her paintings.
Like her sister who's in college, she's actually in college the same grade as Penelope. And Alicia has been a part of LAF for so long, and to see that they're at KU and doing the stuff that they love, it's a great thing to see. So I'm like watching these kids, like from the 15 plus years that I've been doing this, and seeing them now where they're at. It's just so cute. I love it.
We also have, listen,
I
one
know.
day we might jump on here and we might do you know what? Maybe during Hispanic Heritage Month, it's coming up September 15th to October 15th. Don't forget, we're big fans of Hispanic Heritage Month here at the LEC, LAF, all the L's in our community. And then Michelle, what's up, Michelle? Sorry I'm
Yes.
late. Michelle is one of the vendors at Pulga. Is that correct, Deanna?
Yes, so it's so phenomenal to have her, and just it's a growing experience again. It's just watching from like 2 years ago to now, and the leadership that's happened and the partnerships and the community that's being built just within itself is just phenomenal. So I give a huge shout out to all the people, and especially Michelle, who's just taken on all these vendors and kind of just loved on them and helped and supported.
It's so awesome to see what's possible, and it's so awesome that people have invested in not just our organizations but also in the neighborhoods, right?
Yes.
And I know that we're situated in the Northeast community in Pendleton Heights, and we have this incredible lot right next door to our office space, and we want to see filled in with life, right? We want to
Yeah.
see it to be utilized and to be a public space for our community. And so it's been fun to see Pulga kind of grow from that experience and see what else we can do. It's cool to see our landlord and our business community
Yes.
also in the middle of Pendleton Heights say that they would love to see more activities and they would like to invest and support in that kind of work, which it's interesting, right? How an organization grows. And for the LEC, when we started the organization, it was really centered around increasing the representation of Latinx educators in K-12. And the LEC is still very much committed to educators. Educators are at the core of our work. We absolutely believe that representation is important and necessary, and it's one of the keys that allow us to unlock those improved educational outcomes and experiences. But because of the work that we've done, we also have started supporting other audiences, right? So we've also worked with parents and caregivers and ensuring that they actually are better connected to schools. And are receiving the services, the support that they need in order to help their kids succeed. We're also been working with students themselves, and particularly with the partnership that we have with the Latino Arts Foundation. And it's been really fun to see as we're training parents with Educatec or other kind of programs. The young people are doing art experiences at the same time with with the artists that participate and support the work. That's been a really fun experience. And then, of course, allies. So there are plenty of people who are interested in how to better support Latinx youth and Latino students. And we create a space for people to be able to have those conversations and ask the questions that they need to ask. So they actually show up differently and better prepared to serve our community within schools. Anything that I'm missing from that, Deanna?
No, I think you hit everything that we encompass, and that's why LAF fits so well with LEC. And I love the fact that we're really honing in on the youth because I feel like that's where it starts. And why not start young and then let them grow within and help them and support them all the way to whenever they don't need us, or maybe they continue to need us until whenever. And just knowing that they have that support system in the Latino community is so important.
I think also in addition to that, one thing that we've been thinking a lot about at the LEC is the power of organizing, right? And how do we organize communities? LAF has definitely demonstrated the ability to convene people, right? And to bring people together around different causes. So I know you're doing I say we, you, all of us,
All of us.
the Fourth Friday kickbacks.
Yeah.
In the West Bottoms. You're doing the Chicano Art Festival that's coming up on October 7th. I hope I got that right.
That's right.
There are these phenomenal and incredible opportunities where we center Latino Chicano art and experiences. But then we have all these folks that are coming in, right, and engaging with the work. And we're thinking critically about, all right, how do we help those folks get registered to vote? How do we support those folks in getting out to vote? How do we talk about the issues that are most important to our... Was that me? Did
No,
somebody...
that was me. That was nobody.
You
Hopefully,
okay?
nobody's coming in your front door. That's my front door, so that's not your front door. Hopefully, you have the front door locked.
I feel pretty safe where I'm at, but just making sure we're good. I know that when we talked last, there may have been ghosts in your house at some point. I don't recall. Maybe that's like a reach back to pandemic times.
No, it's actually grown. We went on vacation, and it seemed to follow us there. So yeah,
Okay.
and everybody that we know is kind of on board with it. And just like, you know what, it's just a friend. I think we're gonna name him Fred. So there we go.
And friends is what we do best at the LEC and LAF. We're trying to make friends out here to make sure that we are supportive of our Latino youth in our community. I got some more people out here. So
Yes.
we have Michelle saying, I believe she's talking about Marissa and saying that she has
Yes.
beautiful art. And also saying, being a part of this wonderful organization, Beyond Blessed. Michelle, we appreciate your leadership and
Yeah.
your commitment. Honestly, it's awesome to see you be engaged and involved and also lead the way for us. And I think that that's really important as we think about the work that we do, right? We're not just creating leadership opportunities for people, but encouraging people to lead and to step into their leadership journey. And I think that it's been fun to see and to activate folks in that way.
Yeah, and I think with Michelle, especially, and a lot of other vendors, even taking on the chances. Like we started Polga, what, a month ago, 2 months ago? I can't even remember. It feels like yesterday.
Beginning of summer.
Yeah, and we didn't know, right? We weren't sure how this was going to do. We didn't know who'd come, and these vendors showed up. They just kept showing up, and they're like, you know what? At the end of the day, we're here for our community. We want to show what we have. We want to see them. We want to network, and that's the thing, right? That's what we do. That's what a community does. And so we just appreciate everybody just continuing to roll with us, because there are some things that have been going on, like the Fourth Fridays. We've done that under the bridge in the West Side, so those kind of grew over time. And Polga, I know, will do that as well for 2024.
And all these folks, I know we've talked about this, Deanna, the people who are joining, the people who are showing up, these are, I believe, potential future educators, if not already educators in one way, shape, or form. And so it is our duty to support, right, and to help people grow in their ability to like inspire and influence others. And so I appreciate that those opportunities create the conditions necessary for us, again, to continue to support our young people in really interesting and like fun ways. Quickly, Eric, two of my first and foremost.
Look at that picture, though. I mean, come on.
Can we talk about that picture, Eric? Can we talk about the fact that is that a Blue Angel plane? What is it called? I forget.
Blue Angels.
Blue Angels, right?
Yes.
And he got a special seat on this plane. I heard that he handled it well. I heard that he was not hurt and harmed by any way by the G forces that he experienced at that flight. What a phenomenal opportunity. And Eric is really our Top Gun, honestly, when we think about it. He is.
I love that. That's going to be his nickname from now on.
We also have Medium. Thanks for support Latino community. Absolutely. It's what we're here to do. I want to remind something about the Latino community I think is important. Latino students, Latinx students, Latina students, Hispanic students, they're the fastest growing student demographic in not just in Kansas City, but across the country. I think nationally, 25% of all students in K-12 are Latino. That number looks like 30% in Kansas City public schools, close to 60% in Kansas City, Kansas public schools. And so we're already seeing an influx of Latino students across the board. But what we're not seeing is the representation, right, in the positions of power and influence and leadership. And I know representation is also important to you, Deanna.
Yes. Well, I'm Mexican American, I'm Chicana, and so just with that whole part is just that representation as to why we do the Chicana Art Festival, our Fourth Fridays. We really want to bring out the lowrider community that is definitely a part of our culture. And a lot of the vendors really are specific in their Chicanoism, their Chicano love. And we absolutely love it. When people come to our events, they're like, it feels like California. It feels like you're walking into Mexico. And it's just that whole vibe of like that community and tightness, and definitely representation in all factors. Whatever you represent as should be highlighted and bold and up in the, movie theaters high. You know what I mean? It's like, we shouldn't hide anything. We should be proud of whoever we are and identify as such.
I agree. And I think it's also important to create spaces where people feel comfortable identifying as such, right? I think
Yes.
I was talking earlier about the idea of authenticity and how authenticity is critical to like building meaningful relationships with young people, right? Being who you are, being genuine in how you show up in the world, I think is important. And also, we know that authenticity has consequences, right? We understand that not everybody will appreciate your authenticity. We understand that everybody supports your authenticity. And so that's the other side of it, right? We're having real honest conversations of what it means to show up as who we are and understanding that there are risks and consequences involved with that. But ultimately, again,
I know it's Fred. We're good.
I love it.
What I want to add to that, though, real quick,
Yeah.
Edgar, is your organization brings it. You're not just saying it from the inside out. Like, you are inside being authentic, being, allowing us to be who we are, allowing us to do the work that we're meant to do. And I think because of that, it shows on the outside. And I say that all the time. If we're not doing what we say we're doing on the inside, it's never going to show authentically outside. And so I applaud you in the entire LEC and Reved team, because that takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of boldness, because you will get criticized for that, right? Because you stand true to what you believe and what your people believe. So I really applaud all of you for doing that.
And you're part of that community now, Deanna. So I want to be clear about that. You're part of that community, but I appreciate that. I think it's important to us, right? We at the LEC and Revolución Educativa, which is an affiliate organization to the LEC, we have incredible people that work day in and day out on making sure that our young people are taken care of, right? By the systems in which they participate, by the people who are supposed to serve them and serve them, and really being thoughtful and honest about that. But I think it's also important that in our community, we've seen great leaders, right? We have great Latino, Hispanic leaders who have shown the way and paved the pathways for us to continue to build upon that movement. And I think it's also important to continue to say that it's okay to be Latino, right? It's okay to have Latino pride, and it's okay to like show up in those ways in community, right? And so representation absolutely matters in those ways, and ensuring that we also know that Latinos are incredibly diverse as a community, right? We transcend race, we transcend language, we transcend nationality, food, all these other kind of intersectionalities, and so it's important that we continue to talk about how the differences within our community, but like the things that unite us as well, of which art is one of those things, and then of course our commitment to education. I want to bring in Eric's point to Olathe. 20% of Olathe, and that number is going to exponentially grow over the next 10 to 15 years. And so Eric is doing phenomenal work at the district level to ensure that our community and all students have spaces where they feel like they can belong and they feel connected to the Olathe public school community. We have Majo. What's up, Majo?
Yes.
The leader, the phenomenal leader and founder of Latinos Connect, as well as Te Lo Cuento News. 11% in St. Joseph.
Wow.
And I think that's important to also see, like even in, I would consider St. Joseph a suburb, right? Maybe they'll disagree with me, and I'll have to pay up at some point. But like in the areas that you may not expect our community to be in, we are showing up and we're growing in numbers. And Majo reminds us of the importance, particularly of communicating in multiple languages, right? Making sure that the communications that are present from the city, from schools, from our community are easily accessible by our Spanish-speaking families, by our Spanish-speaking members of our community, as well as encompassing all the other different languages that we encounter as Latinos.
Yep, I agree.
We also have a couple other people here. Medium Latino power and authenticity. I mean,
that's just it. That's it
right
where
there. We're at. Antojitos El Tony.
Yes. Oh, love you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for all the organizing events you do. Grateful to have been able to take part. Can't wait for next year.
I mean, we're just
Antojitos. Chef's kiss on those. And then we have Marissa again. I would be interested in knowing the percentage of college students that are Latino, Chicano, Hispanic. That's actually a really good question. I don't know a lot of the percentages on top of my head in terms of college, but I think that's some information that we can actually gather together and share out with the community. Maybe in our next Midwest Chingon podcast that we do. But I do know that there are some challenges, right? I do know that Latino students, I think 7 out of 10 in our community graduate high school, and then 3 out of 10 may drop out or may not finish high school completion. And then we see in education, in the education pipeline, we see a lot of drop-off points, right?
Yes.
A lot of our community goes to 2-year colleges or institutions, right? They go to 2-year community colleges. And then they might enter the workforce after accomplishing their associate's degree, or they might transfer to a 4-year university, right? And like there's so many, I would say, not breaks, but bumps in this pipeline to creating educators and to creating teachers that we see those opportunities that we have to address. And so part of the work that we do with the LEC is we partner with universities and colleges to make sure that they are aware of the best practices in retaining and recruiting Latino students, and then that we're also giving them a nudge to ensure that, like, hey, education is a viable career and we need more Latino educators in systems.
And that's why I'm glad that we are together, because art is the same way. Like, I grew up, art was not a career, art is not something you do. And so you just use it as a hobby. And I think nowadays we're just showing up and showing out that art isn't always a career. I mean, I see so many vendors, I see so many entrepreneurs and so many different aspects of art that are making a career, making an entrepreneurship out of it, getting their businesses. It's phenomenal to watch. And as part of that, I'd love to bring in the Hispanic Development Fund, who has been a part of my journey as well as Edgar's when it comes to supporting our Latino students. We have a scholarship that we're going to continue on, as well as Edgar with LEC. So please watch out for all of those fundraising efforts that are going to come through. We have some amazing aspects to showcase visually what it means to be in art and education, and how those two can vibe together and encourage kids to, stay in college, go to college. Maybe college isn't the route, right? Maybe it is tech school, or maybe it's just going straight into business. Either way, whatever, grows your heart into what you should do is something I truly believe in, because I think all of us have a journey and a path to go on, and it's not always the one that, somebody else thinks is okay for you, right? You have to have your own journey and your own voice.
I can't say it much better than that. I also want to make sure Marissa makes a really great point around the financial, right? Because a lot of people don't know what the money is out there. And I think that that's an opportunity, right? As you're talking about the scholarships, the Hispanic Development Fund, their Cambio para Cambio campaign that's going to, I think, kick off here at the beginning of Hispanic Heritage Month. One of my favorite times of the year, I'm seeing all the young people like actively engage in fundraising and really being committed to like creating those scholarship opportunities for other young Latinos in our community. I think that that's awesome, right? And they've been great partners to us. I think over the years they've been able to match at least $15,000 to $20,000 worth of our funds to create some really awesome scholarship opportunities for young people who want to become educators one day. And so it's been great to be a part of that journey and to make the commitment to continue on with that journey. I will also say that as we think about a more collective approach to how we empower Latinx youth in our community, I think that conversation around money is so important, right?
Yeah.
And how do we ensure that our young people know that HDF exists? How do we ensure that our young people know that there are partners with like the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation, and there are other scholarships that are available, right? And supporting educators and counselors and other people who are interested in making sure that they know that the resources are available, and that universities and colleges are absolutely looking to diversify their pool of students, and that they're offering some really interesting opportunities for particularly young Latino people to get into college and universities. And so how do we help support that information? And we have to do it in community, right? There are plenty of organizations in Kansas City that are really committed to young people. And so how do we partner with each other to ensure that the information is there and that it's being utilized?
Yeah, and I'll tell you personal experience. I think I've told you this many times, Edgar, and people probably know my story as well. When Priscilla was starting college, it was very hard. Didn't know about the scholarships, didn't even know what was out there, and had the great support of Dr. Macias and Dr. Pacina, who kind of just took her under their wing and was like, this is where you need to go, and this is where help and support you can get. And even like example SAT tests and ACT things, that you could practice on. Just those little things really matter. And the cost for KU for the first year was $0 for us. And it was insane. And so when Edgar talks about there's resources, it's just about knowing how to get to them. And I feel like, the LEC, LAF, and definitely like the Hispanic Development Fund, Natty Rhodes, Guadalupe Center. There's so many Latino organizations, because I know when I want to reach out to somebody who will understand my story, who understands my background, the difficulties that we have. My husband's a small business owner, and I've kind of been figuring out my journey before hitting LEC. And, those are hard things to talk about. And so I think having those resources in the Latino community are so important. And that's why we will shout out till the end of our days about all the amazing ones that are in Kansas City that have been here before us. And I'm sure the many millions that are going to start after us too.
Absolutely. We are part of that journey, right? In that evolution of community. And so we know that there are young people who are already doing incredible and amazing things and activating and energizing their own communities to really improve not just educational outcomes, but the outcomes of the communities themselves, right? Quickly, Majo, of course, thank you for calling St. Joseph suburb. We are 35 minutes from the Kansas City airport. However, in Kansas City, they think they're taking a trip to another planet. It may not be another planet, but I will say it can be a vacation destination. It is so nice to go up to St. Joe. There's so many cool opportunities, restaurants, and Mao has been a phenomenal supporter of St. Joe, of course. But I would say she might lead the tourism fund for St. Joe, and I mean that in all sincerity.
Yes, I love it. No,
I,
meeting. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Meeting Maria in the hottest day ever at the Hispanic golf tournament was the most amazing experience ever because she's just phenomenal. So I could totally see all of that.
I mean, she's incredible, and I've learned so much from her in terms of just like messaging and like how to organize and how to bring people together and thinking and taking like non-traditional approaches to this work. I love seeing Maho in St. Joe and seeing just random people come up to her and like thanking her for her work and acknowledging like the community that she's built in St. Joe. And she's going to be doing it here in Kansas City too. We'll be talking about a couple of Latinos Connect dinners that are going to be coming out here in the next few months. Sorry if I broke that news. That's my version.
That's what happens.
Marissa says, Deanna, you are right where you're supposed to be. I agree, but you may not.
I do agree. It took 15 years to get here, but we got here. Everybody has the time in the universe that hits, right? It was perfect timing.
Michelle says, my daughter took a 3-month break and it was a horrible experience getting her financial aid back. I can see now why some kids just give up. Yep. And I think that that's so important, right? We understand that it is natural to want to give up. It is natural to not want to continue, and it can feel unfair, unjust. You may not have the right people navigating these things, and that's why we exist. We want to make sure that whatever barriers our community is facing to attain that higher education, that commitment and those experiences, like that we're there to support them along the way. We recognize that it's intensive and it requires an intense approach to the work, but it's what's required, right? It's what's going to hopefully elevate our community to new heights. Majo says, call us on to help inform Latino parents. Of course, if you're not following Te Lo Cuento News, I don't know what to tell you. I think you should definitely follow them and keep an eye on what they're talking about. I caught an episode with Edgar Galicia talking about Cava and all the incredible work that he's doing over there at Central Avenue in KCK. So that was fun. It's always good to see our people out showing and thriving.
Yes. And he's got some great events coming up too. So we'll be sharing out some of his amazing Dia de los Muertos and amazing Hispanic Heritage Month events.
Marissa says, I had no clue where to start with. Alicia, so grateful we had you to show me. Several parents are in the same boat. Absolutely.
Yes.
What's the best way to get in contact with someone to help my daughter apply for scholarships? I know she has tried to apply for multiple ones and she has been denied. I think we can absolutely connect you to the Hispanic Development Fund as a great starting point. I know that they have some great resources there, and depending on the schools that you're in, they may have just a better understanding of what's possible. And then, also I would recommend that let's talk about the wish list. So as we're thinking about college and universities, what are the colleges and universities that they want to attend?
Yeah.
Right? How do we connect them to those folks who are in financial aid? How do we connect them to those folks that understand the scholarships that are available from the college and university level, and making sure that we're building those relationships and supporting them in that way?
Yeah. And Edgar, I would even add on, if anyone needs any tutoring in regards to the bios, paragraphs, essays, that was my Penelope's downfall, was the essay part. And I think not having and knowing that we could get a mentor or support system, which I just found out that there were some volunteers that were actually helping to do that. I mean, those are so vital. I mean, that story, that voice, how you do it is so important. And so I even go to the fact of volunteering. Our kids work, right? Our kids don't have time to always be in the community and doing things, but Susanna, who is so phenomenal here, talked about it with me, especially with regards to Penelope, and like talking to me like, well, what has she done, otherwise? And how do you make that into the impact that you're doing for yourself, for your family, for your goals? And that's such a great point, because I think sometimes we just take it word for word of like, oh, volunteering in the community. Okay. But that can go a whole other length. So there's so many different aspects. So I think, Edgar, you have a lot of resources in regards to teachers and mentors that people can get in contact with too.
Yeah, what I love about the organization is that we have folks who are working again day in and day out and ensuring that we have the best like educational experiences and outcomes for young people, right? And so if we don't know the answer, which is sometimes the case, right? There are some really complicated conversations and nuances to conversations that we just don't understand. But we have a committed group of people who are going to be willing to take those next steps and really ensure that the information that you do receive is accurate, it's helpful, and it's also that you feel like you're supported in these conversations.
Oh my God!
I don't know what to do with this one. Susana, who's the deputy director of the Latinx Education Collaborative, goes, "Yay! 2 of my favorite people doing some amazing work. Thank you for y'all's commitment to community and for helping break barriers for people." Susana, I'm not going to break your news in any way, shape, or form, but what are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? Thanks for being on Facebook. It's probably because you can't sleep right now. Marissa, KU.
You're going to hear a lot of that, Edgar, I think now. It's just going to be constant. We just need to start putting out our, the walls, blue, white, red. I think that would be phenomenal.
I think some people are also for K-State and other, I myself went to UMKC and then did a little bit of a brief stint at Rockhurst, but no shout outs there. We have Lisa Lopez. Edgar, you are great. Contact me at the Star. Is looking for something to write on during Hispanic Heritage Month. Can we? I want to take this opportunity to love on Lisa Lopez. Lisa Lopez is an incredible community member, community leader. I have seen her bring together people who otherwise would not be together. And for the record, she makes an incredible pineapple upside down cake. I think I had to fight with people around this cake that she made. And it's due time for me to order another one because it's fantastic. I think the pineapples are fresh. I think she grows them in the backyard. I don't know how she does it. But she's also been a great supporter of the work that we do. In fact, some of the furniture that we have in our office space is very much thanks to Lisa and her contribution and her phone call. The picnic table that we have in the front, that is Lisa Lopez contribution and a contribution from the KC Star.
Nice. And you got to shout out Fiesta Hispana that's coming up a couple weeks.
Absolutely.
You have to shout that out for sure.
One of the premier fiestas in our community. And I think we may be around to support in some way, shape, or form for Fiesta Hispana coming up.
Absolutely.
A lot of places, Marissa says, a lot of places that kiddos volunteer also may have scholarship opportunities. Yes. Always ask.
Great point.
People are willing to help.
Susanna with her emoji.
Right. I think you just broke the news. That feels like a baby emoji. So I'm sorry, Susanna. Yell at me later. Susanna had a baby.
I mean, what better place to break it than here,
and she's
right?
Still on Facebook.
She's about to get a phone call from you after this. I know it.
Sorry to break the news, but it's going on Te Lo Cuento here in a couple of minutes. Eric, I can help all students, even if they're not Olathe students. And that is what I'm talking about. That is the type of community that we're trying to build for folks where forget the boundaries, right? Forget the boundaries of what we do. We're here to support young Latino people get the opportunities that they need and that they desire. And so Eric's an incredible educator. He has an incredible story of how he got to where he is, and a true inspiration to our community to see that anything is possible. And I don't know a lot of people who get invited to fly on Blue Angels planes. So also clearly a power broker in his own right.
And before you go on, real quick, I wanted to say with Eric, he is coming on to support a mentorship program that's going to be announced under another program through LEC that LAF is partnering with. And so we just thank Eric, Monica, and our newest, youngest mentor that we've had so far, Aaron Munoz, who's going to do some custom painting with kids. So, I mean, it's just gathering, right? It's you just get people together that love what they do and figure it out. And to see that happen and then also bring in someone young to also teach, that's what we do, right? Edgar, that's exactly what we do.
I mean, that's not just what we do, but it's what we need to do, right? I think that's the important thing. We're committed to doing what it takes in order for our young people to not just survive, but thrive.
Yeah.
Lisa, you're a great supporter of Fiesta Hispana KC. I got to tell you, Sunday nights at Fiesta Hispana, wild. I gotta say, anybody that can turn, is it the Marriott? I forget what the name, but it's the Marriott Hotel, right? Anybody that can turn the Marriott into the Mexican flag, like, incredible. What about scholarships for those kiddos who are looking for help with school ready in progress? Do you know any of them? Marissa, what we can do is we can take this question offline. We can connect you to some resources that are going to be able to help and support, and make sure that we get those. Money's out there, right? And I think that's something that to remember. Sometimes we just don't know those pathways, but there are plenty of people who've gotten scholarships, fellowship, dollars. I remember there was one time where I was going to be $1,000 short for my tuition payment, and I went to my professor. It was actually my choir professor, out of all people, Charles Robinson, and I went up to him. I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm struggling with this. Do you have any additional resources, supports? And then somehow, some way, he found a scholarship that was out there for $750, and so I only ended up paying $250 for that tuition. And so sometimes it's just really about sharing that there is a need, and being comfortable and getting comfortable with the fact that there are people out here to help in a lot of different ways in sports. But Marissa, we'll take note of that, and we will connect with you offline to make sure that we answer the questions, that we connect you to the right people.
All the celebration.
Donna,
that's it.
Go to bed. You know what? I'm overjoyed. I'm thrilled. It's so much there. And then, of course, congratulations to Susanna, of course, on the recent edition.
Well, Yvonne, yes, work study.
Work study is such an incredible opportunity. I remember one of my work studies was at the UMKC Career Services place. What an interesting and learning time for me.
Well, Priscilla did hers at the National. Well, I think she's still the National. What's the National? The museum that's in KU. It's like the Natural Museum or something like that. Cool. Very interesting. Did a lot of cutting up of animals and things like that. So yeah, kind of hit with her biology that she's doing. But yeah, I mean, everything. There's something out there for everybody, right? Like to do.
And that's what we're going to be figuring out over the next couple of months and couple of years. I know we're at 7:42. We are, of course, always overtime, because we always have so much to talk about. But one, Deanna, I just want to thank you so much for joining the LEC team and trusting us with the work with the Latino Arts Foundation, and really just doubling down on our commitment to what's possible for Latino, Latinx, Latina, Hispanic youth in our community, and also creating the spaces necessary for people to continue to advance and thrive. And so I look forward to see what else comes from our partnership and the work that we do together. And if you have questions, let us know. Feel free to message us on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you're catching this. Is it broadcast? I forgot the language. It's been such a long time.
We're actually going to build a podcast station in LEC. Just FYI, surprise, Edgar. So
okay, let's not say that out loud. We'll get in trouble, I'm sure. Thank you for all the wonderful information and having time to share. Absolutely, and we will be back. It may not be next week, but we'll definitely be back in the next couple of weeks to talk a little bit more about the work that's coming up for us and all the crazy and fun and interesting events that we're doing. So, Deanna, thank you again.
Thank you, everybody.
And LEC community, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.